Today on the Rockbridge Report, we have details from the trial of Buena Vista pastor Larry Clark. Find out what jurors decided Wednesday about the former pastor's fate.
Also, the Virginia Horse Center hosted a special group of riders this past weekend despite financial trouble. Find out what it will take for them to host such events again in the future.
And later, we'll give you a tour of some of Lexington's new downtown restaurants and explain how this will affect older eateries moving forward.
All that and more on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news for Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Good afternoon, Rockbridge. I'm Maggie Volsky.
And I'm Stephen Young. The former pastor of a Buena Vista church now faces 35 years in prison. A jury in Rockbridge County Circuit Court Wednesday found Larry McKinley Clark guilty of sexually assaulting a teenage boy from his congregation. The former pastor at Pentecostal Outreach Church is guilty of 3 counts of taking indecent liberties and 2 counts of carnal knowledge. Circuit Judge Michael Irvine will decide early in January whether to follow the jury's recommendation that Clark serve 35 years in prison and pay more than $100,000 in fines.
During the two-day trial, the teenage boy testified by closed-circuit television, so he did not have to face Clark. The boy said that almost every Sunday starting in 2011, Clark would give the boy a ride home and sexually molest him in the car. The boy also testified that the pastor took him to his house and sexually assaulted him on 2 occasions. Clark's lawyer tried to convince the jury that the boy was reciting a script and made up the story to get attention. The prosecutor argued that the boy has struggled to bring the information forward while dealing with intense shame. A lawyer for Clark said he would appeal the jury's verdict. The U.S. Supreme Court declined Tuesday to rule on same-sex marriage bans in 5 states, therefore opening those states to same-sex marriage. However, the court did not answer the question of legality for same-sex marriages nationwide. As CNN reporter Andrew Spencer explains, this leaves both sides of the issue feeling frustrated with the court.
2 men who sued the state were among the first to get their marriage license in Virginia.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure suing you.
Their case ended this week as the U.S. Supreme Court refused to issue a ruling on laws banning states from recognizing same-sex marriages. 5 states defending those bans now have to start issuing marriage licenses. Similar bans in 6 other states likely aren't far behind. In North Carolina, for example, 61% of voters supported a law defining marriage as between a man and a woman. But the governor says his administration will no longer fight to keep that law on the books.
My chief legal counsel has advised me that it's probably a matter of time.
The lack of a Supreme Court decision causes frustration on both sides of the issue, making same-sex marriage legal in about half of the U.S. and leaving it unrecognized in the rest of the states. Utah's governor says it leaves the country with a patchwork of laws.
I am surprised about this and disappointed. I believe that the people deserve to have this hearing. Having the Supreme Court hear that and do that job, I thought was appropriate to resolve the issue and give it some finality.
While some ceremonies started right after the announcement, officials say this time there's no rush.
The ban on same-sex marriage is not ever going to go into effect here in the state of Wisconsin again.
We can finally plan our wedding. We can invite our family members and our friends and celebrate together.
I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
6 other states, including West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Kansas, Colorado, and Wyoming, could also see their bans lifted due to the court's inaction, raising the total number of legalized states to 30.
The first patient in the United States diagnosed with Ebola died Wednesday morning. Thomas Eric Duncan was in critical condition in a Dallas area hospital, and the CDC said it was deeply saddened to hear of his death. Meanwhile, the U.S. government has begun to implement more intensive screening and questioning of people flying into 5 major international airports to go with screening in West African countries affected by Ebola. White House officials believe this is the best way to prevent further spread of the virus.
We continue to have a lot of confidence in the screening measures that are already in place and have been in place for some time now. By far the most effective screening measure that is in place is not any screening that takes place here in the United States. It's the screening that takes place in these 3 countries in West Africa where they're experiencing this Ebola outbreak. preventing individuals who are already exhibiting symptoms of Ebola from boarding a plane in the first place is the most effective measure that will counter and has countered the spread of Ebola.
The 5 airports in the U.S. are New York's JFK, Chicago's O'Hare, Newark, Washington Dulles, and Atlanta.
The Virginia Horse Center hosted a show for people with special needs last weekend, and participants rated it a success. But success in the arena isn't enough to keep riders and horses coming back to Rockbridge County. Rachel Adams-Hurd reports the center's finances are key to the future.
The Virginia Horse Center welcomed special needs riders from across the state last weekend during a show for the Therapeutic Riding Association of Virginia. Riders competed and participated in clinics during the 2-day event.
I dress up nice. I always have my Redskins tie on. I smile big for the judges.
But some worry that shows like these might disappear from our area. The Horse Center's financial troubles could threaten its future.
For Virginia to have the horse industry that it does, to lose something like this would certainly be a black mark on Virginia's reputation.
The Horse Center's board is seeking to raise $10 million, money that would come from refinancing a current loan, private donations, and a state tax credit if the center receives a conservation easement. Local lodging tax dollars from Rockbridge County and the city of Lexington are already being used to help the Horse Center. The county and city agreed recently to raise the Horse Center's share of the local lodging tax from 2 cents to 3 cents for the next 2 years. But while Lexington gave the money to the Horse Center, the county sent it directly to the U.S. Department of Agriculture to help pay off the center's loan debt.
Several years ago, the Horse Center spent Lexington's money on other items and didn't pay their debt service, which caused them to head toward the condition that they got into eventually.
Campbell says he thinks the board will continue to assist the Horse Center.
We realize that we need the Horse Center in the county. It's a tremendous asset to us.
And while the Horse Center awaits a decision from the county, Horse Center Treasurer Tom Clark is taking the long view.
I think good things are coming down the road, that not just good for the Horse Center, but for everybody that lives in Rockbridge County and beyond.
For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Rachel Adams-Hurd.
Coming on next on this edition of the Rockbridge Report, a look at why the moon turned blood red early Wednesday morning.
A preview of the new restaurants in downtown Lexington and what diners can expect to find.
And an unordinary block party took place last weekend in Lexington. We'll have more details later in the show. Stay tuned. No, I don't think so. I think it's in C, actually.
Five.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary. Bye, Smokey. Only you can prevent wildfires.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
He's on his way. He doesn't even know that we're here. Is he okay? Please tell me he's okay.
Laura.
Okay, try to call him again.
There's no signal.
Try.
Nothing's working.
Well, just
Everything's down.
This is so bad. He's out there by himself.
Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that the moon was bright red early Wednesday morning. A total lunar eclipse took place at 6:25 a.m. that turned the moon red for about an hour. A lunar eclipse happens when the moon passes through the Earth's shadow, and it is the second such occurrence this year. The last lunar eclipse was in April, and 2 more are expected in 2015.
Well, Stephen, it's not very often that you see that, is it? Now we turn our attention to more of what local weather has in store for us. Kinsey Grant's in the studio with our forecast.
Thank you, Maggie. Well, as you can see, the leaves are starting to change and the sun is shining here in Rockbridge County, Virginia. The sun is a welcome change from what we had earlier this week, nearly 2 full days of straight rain. But the rain will be back later in the week, so be sure to take advantage of the sun while it lasts. Let's take a look at our current conditions. Right now it's 73 degrees here in Rockbridge County, Virginia. We've got a nice breeze blowing in and plenty of sun in the sky. That sun is what warmed us up from our low of 54 all the way up to about 72 this afternoon. Let's take a look at the rest of West Central Virginia to see if they're experiencing similar conditions. As you can see, everywhere from Charlottesville down to Lynchburg is experiencing conditions hovering around 70 degrees with plenty of sunshine. Looking at our radar, you'll notice there's not much precipitation headed our way as we move into the late evening, but around 3 a.m. the rain will roll in, and once it gets here, I'm sorry to say it's here to stay. Let's look at our 5-day forecast. Now, as you can see, we are slated for rain all week. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we are looking at some precipitation coming in. Now, this comes at an unfortunate time as it is Parents' Weekend for Washington and Lee University and homecoming for Southern Virginia University. So be sure to tell your parents and visiting alumni to pack an umbrella and a rain jacket as they make their way to the area. Hopefully by Wednesday, though, we will be back to the fall conditions we're all looking forward to. Thank you, Maggie and Stephen. Back to you.
Well, Stephen, I certainly hope you have your umbrella ready for this weekend.
I have my umbrella out, but it will be for the pumpkins because it's pumpkin season. Well, summer is over and business is picking up again for restaurants in downtown Lexington, but some places that have been in town for years are facing new competition for diners' dollars. Sabrina Edgerton-Malloy has the story.
There is no shortage of restaurants in Lexington. Downtown is home to the Southern Inn, the Bistro, Sheridan Livery Inn, Bricks, McAdoo's, and a host of others. Now, 2 more, Roca and Haywood's, have joined that list.
The more restaurants and the better they are, the greater the pull, to come downtown. And people will travel, as a destination to come here and eat. I think the more the merrier.
Henrik's runs the kitchen at Roca in the reopened Robert E. Lee Hotel. The restaurant opened a few weeks ago, featuring Southern Italian cuisine in its salads, pasta, seafood, and wines. Right across the street, Southern Inn owner George Uge says he's not worried about more competition.
It's definitely, good for the city to have more businesses and more tax revenue. And as long as our business stays consistent, they can add as many of them as they want.
The other newcomer downtown, Haywood's, is part of a renovated boutique inn called the Georges on North Main Street. Executive chef James Harris says downtown's other restaurants push him to offer better food at Haywood's.
It's not like a nasty competition. It's the good kind of thing where, that there's an old restaurant adage that the best place to open up a hamburger shop is right next to another hamburger shop, and so you have several really good restaurants around here, and I don't look at it like a competitive advantage. I look at it as a way to get more people into town.
Unlike Roca and the Southern Inn, Haywood's offers a piano bar Thursday through Sunday nights. Still, Uge is not worried about getting enough business at the Southern Inn.
We just have to continue to do what we do and try to do it the best we can, and by doing that, all the other pieces of the puzzle will hopefully fall in place.
For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Sabrina Edgerton-Malloy.
Both Roca and Haywood's are fully booked for the next few days for Parents' Weekend at Washington and Lee University. Hugger says Southern Inn is practically booked as well.
The man who caught on fire at an Interstate 81 rest area trying to make methamphetamines died last night at the University of Virginia Medical Center. The Rockbridge County Sheriff's Office says the man was an employee at the rest area and created an explosion in the maintenance building while trying to cook methamphetamines. However, the building was not damaged. The rest area, located just south of mile marker 200, was closed temporarily but has since reopened.
Up next, we'll preview the weekend sports lineup for you and give you the scores from last week's games.
And we have an important update for those driving through downtown Lexington tonight. Stay tuned for more.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your GED.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future and sign up for free classes now at yourged.org.
8,
If you store your guns properly,
I'll
feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home. I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories.
And I won't have to tell my kids. This isn't a drill.
Please.
Please, do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always, lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
No more pencils, no more books, no more teachers, dirty looks.
School's out!
For summer.
What this place needed was better graduation rates. So we worked with schools like Henry Ford High, and now they're up 18%. To help us do more good this year, go to unitedway.org, because great things happen when we live united.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
You were just looking at scores from the past week, and this weekend is jam-packed with games for local high schools and universities as well. Stuart Scott is here to tell us more.
This weekend is chock full of home games for the three universities, with WNL hosting Parents and Family Weekend and SVU having its homecoming this weekend. Let's start with football, as WNL and SVU both play at home. Both teams are 0-4 so far, and WNL will look to secure their first victory against conference rival Hampton-Sydney at 1 p.m., while SVU looks to do the same against conference foe Montclair State at noon. Meanwhile, VMI football will hit the road this weekend to take on Navy at 3:30 p.m. That game can be seen on CBS Sports Network. In volleyball, SVU will host York College Saturday at 4 p.m. The 13-7 Dragons will look to gain their second conference victory. Meanwhile, WNL volleyball continues to look strong at 18-1. They travel to Wittenberg, Ohio for 2 games, one against nationally ranked Wittenberg College and one against John Carroll College. Action starts at 1 p.m. WNL is currently on a 17-game winning streak. There's plenty of soccer action as well this weekend, with 8 games total for the 3 schools over the next 3 days. Both WNL men and women are home. The SVU men's team is home for 1 game, and the VMI women's team has 2 home games this weekend. You can find times and scores for all these teams on their athletic websites. Moving to high school football, where Perry McClure looks to continue its undefeated season at James River. That game kicks off tomorrow at 7 p.m. Meanwhile, Rockbridge County is still looking for its first win as they travel to Lord Botetourt tomorrow. That game also kicks off at 7 p.m. That's all for sports this week. Maggie, back to you.
Thank you, Stuart, and good luck to all our Rockbridge County teams playing this weekend. Up about 200 area residents from supporting local artists Friday evening. Washington Street in downtown Lexington was roped off for the Arts of Lexington block party. Rain chased some of the artists and artwork indoors, but strollers also enjoyed a juggler, a band, and a wine samples from a local vineyard. High school students ran a face painting booth that attracted a younger audience. Organizers hope to involve student artists from Washington and Lee University in VMI and future block parties. Drivers on Main Street in Lexington tonight will have to take a detour because of construction at VMI. Contractors did not tear down the old Quartermaster building, originally the Knights of Pythias building. Instead, they are moving the entire building. The stretch of road between Massey Street and Diamond Street will be closed to traffic at 6 tonight as crews continue to work on renovations to parts of VMI. Detours will be marked for travelers and the road should reopen at midnight tonight.
That's all for today's show. Thanks for tuning in to Channel 18 this afternoon.
Be sure to check us out on the web at www.rockbridgereport.washingtonandlee.net, as well as our Facebook and Twitter pages. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Maggie Volsky. Have a great evening.